what I remember about Donald Trump is of course a showman, a business guy, business mogul from New York. 2016 he gets elected, and everyone in Lithuania was kind of laughing. Look, an idiot got elected, and then for a few years I was hearing from even my friends. He was like, "Did you hear what Trump said? He said that he would have sex with his own daughter. He's an idiot. He's a clown." I was like, who's that clown? So I got a little bit...
Which, of course, he did not say that. But,
he said something like, if I wasn't her father, I would...
Yeah, I mean, look, the dude is uncouth. Yeah. Okay? The guy is a complicated, flawed individual. And that's a funny... So Christians want to say that, we shouldn't vote for Trump. There's a lot of people that are of that, like, I could never vote for him because he's just not the Christian character that I want. But the fact is, we always vote the lesser of two evils. When it comes to these situations, and unless Jesus Christ is running, we're always going to be the lesser of two evils.
So, loved by many, then hated by many.
Yeah, I mean, he was universally loved as a celebrity before he was ever running for president. He was lauded, loved by the black community. They wrote rap songs that included his name. I mean, he was a super big celebrity, and again, loved by all. I'll tell you one thing. So I got to meet him many years ago because I insured one of his hotels in Vegas, and he was passing through the day that I happened to be there. And there's two things that I felt, well, three, that I thought were pretty remarkable. Number one, he was definitely a magnetic, charismatic personality, like to the extreme. And there's only a few people that you ever get to meet in life that are like that.
The other one is Bill Gates, right?
Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton had that same kind of magnetic, charismatic.
They have something in common.
Yeah. But there's just a really wild thing. Like there's a vortex around people. Like they walk in a room and there's a whirlwind that just surrounds them. That's magnificent, right? It's really interesting, and God only blesses a few people with that level of charisma. So he's one of those guys. His kids love him. I can't tell you how many lauded, appreciated celebrity pastors even who their kids despise them. And that tells you a lot. His kids love him, right? His kids think very highly of him, love their dad. That tells you something. The other thing is his employees genuinely do as well. Like they appreciate him. They think he's great. They think he's a good leader. They think he's strong. There was the GM of that hotel was his former driver, and he told a story that, hey, when I was Trump's driver, he told me on my first day that if I paid attention and I worked hard, I would not be the driver for long.
Nice.
And then he was a competent GM running that hotel. He was excellent. So I mean, it's interesting. He was liked for a reason.
So May 30th, we all know what's the result of the court. Let's go just a little bit to the judicial system of the U.S. So on top of his, Supreme Court?
Yes.
So yesterday that wasn't Supreme Court's decision, verdict?
No.
What's underneath the Supreme Court?
Well, okay, so you have federal courts and you have state courts. Okay, so federal courts deal with matters of federal law, state courts matters of state law, right? And there's certain things that are relegated to the states, certain things that are relegated to federal issues, right? Capital crimes, treason. There's all kinds of things that are federal crimes. Some of the things that they convicted him of, like this is what's unique about this thing. All right, remember we talked earlier. Show me the man, and I'll show you the crime. Okay, that's what we're dealing with here. Alvin Bragg, who is the local New York DA, said and campaigned upon the idea that I am going to go after Trump legally. I am going to convict him of something. When was that? When he ran for district attorney just a few years ago. So Alvin Bragg, the district attorney of that area of New York that's responsible for that.
And who votes for district attorney?
The voters. And so New York is like 90% in that district that voted him in. It's like 90% Democrat, okay? Meaning the jury pool that they are pulling from is not a bunch of Republicans and Democrats. It's vast majority people who voted against Donald Trump. That's what the jury is made up of. So
Yes.
even if you're a lawyer trying to sift through that group and do jury selection, voir dire, right? You are going to have a hell of a time finding anybody sympathetic to Trump's cause because, again, the people that are going to be serving out of that jury are out of that community that is mostly Trump haters. So right then and there, this was rigged. Okay, Alvin Bragg, I'm going to go after Trump for something. Okay, just anything was what they did. So they that's why they went after him for the documents case. You know, Biden did the same thing, even less secured than, you know, being in Mar-a-Lago. It's in his
What do you
open
mean?
garage.
It was in his garage.
Yeah, next to his
Secured.
Yeah, you know. Well, but Bryce, he gave them back when they asked, you know. Well, he was vice president. He didn't even have a right to those things when he took them. So, I mean, there's all kinds of things. And Trump had plenary authority to actually declassify documents. The power of the president is pretty immense when it comes to those sort of things, right? But the National Archives never went after Barack Obama, never went after, you know, Hillary, who took all kinds of documents. Remember, she had 30,000 emails server. She smashed phones. She did all kinds of more egregious criminal activities than Donald Trump did in this particular case or in the documents case. But they were doing everything they can to find something because all they want to do is what they were able to accomplish yesterday is convicted felon. Donald Trump. How can you vote for this guy? Mark my words, there's going to be a tremendous push to make it something that we can't do. They do not want him to be even on the ticket, and there'll be states that will try to refuse.
They already tried.
They did try, but they couldn't do it based on the basis that they wanted. So now they're going to try again. There's going to be a huge concerted effort to tell us that we can't actually vote him in because he's now a felon, and therefore he cannot be eligible for the president of the United States. So sorry, guys, we're going to just have to usher Biden in. That's why people have talked for a little while about not having an election. So anyway, so these 34 counts were essentially they took some federal statutes, which they then tried in a state court, which again, that in and of itself doesn't work. They created thin arguments about how these hush money payments to Stormy Daniels, which, by the way, hush payments happen every day in this world. Okay, you fire somebody, you know, you get rid of them, you move them on as an employee. They sign a severance agreement, an NDA. You know, they're not going to sue you in exchange for this money. Boom, all that stuff happens. That's a normal matter of business, whether he slept with her or not. And there's questions about she lied one way or another over and over again, right? Michael Cohen lied about all kinds of things. You know, the people who testified against him lied about all kinds of things. So the judge gagged him so that he couldn't talk publicly in his defense. They did all kinds of things. The judge himself was corrupt. His daughter is receiving hundreds of thousands of dollars in payments from the Democrat Party.
That's a coincidence.
Yeah, it's just a coincidence. All along the line, this whole entire thing was set up to rig him so that, going back to, again, I don't want to call everybody stupid, but people who don't understand all of the legal stuff that's happening, because it's complicated. 34 accounts. Okay, really all it was they were making an argument that they didn't dot the I's and cross the T's, and they did essentially falsify business records, did an in-kind contribution to him. It's like campaign finance stuff. Most of it's all misdemeanors that they ginned up to be a greater charge, but it's misdemeanors that were past the statute of limitations.
So he could pay the hush money, but he did that from the campaigns.
Well, Michael Cohen did on his behalf, right? And even that's like they can't actually trace it all back in the way that they were trying to, but it doesn't matter. All they needed was a show trial. This is a Soviet-style show trial to eliminate a political opponent. That's it. They're concerned that they cannot beat him at the ballot box, even with all their cheating, all their rigging, all of their ballot chasing, everything. But they got to get him out. They have to do whatever it takes because now their necks are on the line.
So what's next? He can go to appeal the case, right?
I believe it's yes, but remember that the appellate court is all filled with all of these Trump haters. He's in a terrible place now. Then it can go up to the Supreme Court. You can keep challenging it. So eventually it'll go nowhere.
It's going to take years and years, right?
Yes. But remember, they did this for the now. They did this so that on July 11th is his sentencing hearing.
Yes.
Right? They're doing it all now in order to stymie him from being able to campaign, from being able to win. They want to take the wind out of his sails, but I think it's backfired. He
doesn't have to campaign.
That's right.
After that, that's it. This is the best campaign
there are people I know that have called me that are like, can you believe this? That's it. I'm voting for him. People who were not wanting to vote for him before, Christians that were going to stay home because of his comments on abortion, that gave them heartburn, and by the way, I'm as pro-life as one can possibly get. But, we need to vote for Trump, whether you agree with everything that he stands for or not. The alternative is so wicked, and persecution, prosecution, and war is coming.
So July 11th is going to be the verdict. The verdict is going to be done by a judge.
Right.
He can possibly face jail time.
Yes.
Real jail time.
Yes, and they can try to deny bail. There's all kinds of things that they do. The more they go down that path, right? The harder that they go down that path, I believe, the better for Trump. Because right now people are waking up. The black community all of a sudden is like, man, they're treating this guy unfairly, and he's winning the black community. He's winning the Latino community. Like, all the things that they're doing are backfiring. But here's what happens though: you lose on the character assassination, which they've been unable to beat him on that respect, right? Remember, we're talking fourth and fifth generation warfare. Attacked his character. They tried to assassinate and destroy all of his businesses. They tried to shut him down at every turn, destroy his wealth. Like, every little bit has been backfiring, right? Lawfare, we're trying to throw him in jail. If they can't do all of that, the only thing left is assassination.
So if on July 11th he gets a real sentence, he goes to jail right away, or he has to wait?
No, because there's bail. There's different things that are options.
There's
house arrest. There's a process. So and there's ways for them to be aggressive in that process. But and that's what I'm saying. The harder they go, the more likely it is that we are in a kinetic war. Because if they go and they're marching him off to jail, and by the way, they kind of want violence from the right. They're setting up for us. The things that they do, they want a reaction from us. They want dudes, like militia style dudes, to march down the street with weaponry and say, "You're not putting our president in jail," so that they can come and round up guys like me and guys like you. And they want to create this idea that the domestic terrorists, it's too dangerous. The MAGA folks, that we got to put them away.
He can potentially get from 4 years to 134.
Yeah, depending on how they stack.
Yeah.
And can you serve concurrently, or all of that sort of stuff. It creates to where it's like something up to like 400 years based on maximum.
400.
Yeah, I think it's something ridiculous like that, because it's like each one of those counts can be separately 7 to 10 years or something like that. I forget exactly.
So let me get this straight: a pedophile gets 2 years, or just a misdemeanor.
Or nothing, based on the Epstein list. None of those people on that list have been gone after.
But if you have had sex with an ex-porn star, paid her money, that was a consensual sex, he didn't rape her,
yeah,
you can get 100 years in prison.
Remember, $17 million in the slush fund for hush money for Congress has been paid out. $17 million. Those are the same. Thomas Massey talked about it this morning, but for the same thing, to silence scandals that could affect Congress, they've paid out $17 million in settlements for NDAs and hush money.
Tax dollars.
Yeah.
Your money.
It is our money. Yes.
So,
Yeah.
$17 million.
So Donald Trump using his own money, 130 grand
He got a deal.
for some sleazy porn actress to have her shut up and sign an NDA. Yeah.
So according to the Constitution, if a human being, if the candidate is even in jail, he can run.
Yes.
He can win.
Yes.
And he can...
Think Nelson Mandela. No, I mean, yeah. So it doesn't prevent him from running. Now they're going to make this argument that it does. They're going to do all kinds of contortions and all kinds of acrobatics to try to tell us why we can't legally vote for him. That's going to be over the coming weeks. And then we're going to have something else happen. We're going to have, normally they talk about the October surprise in American politics, right? 1 month before the election, something wild comes out about a guy or whatever. So they called it the October surprise. We are going to have an August surprise. Mm-hmm. We're going to have a September surprise. They are desperate.
How do you think, what are the chances of him getting assassinated, percentage-wise?
Well, it's not zero.
Yeah. You have the track record in the US.
I mean, it's hard to do now compared to what it used to be because of, just proactive defense techniques and Secret Service is they are a good security outfit. They are very practiced in keeping these guys safe. And a lot of those guys really like him. Like the police like him, the military likes him. Now the military's been hollowed out. A lot of people that were forced into vaccinations or leave. A lot of the most conservative folks have left the military over the last couple of years. Still great people there though. But they like Trump. And so the people are protecting them. Hillary Clinton was the worst. So I have Secret Service friends. Hillary Clinton treated everybody like absolute trash.
Surprise.
Like, do not look at me. Like, you cannot look at her in the eyes. There was she was crazy, toxic, the nastiest of nasty. She's a witch. So
I would never in a million years think of it.
Yeah, I mean, you would think she seems like such a nice, sweet grandma.
Sure.
Yeah. But anyway, you have a situation where it's difficult to do that, but it's certainly not impossible. And so I think that is a distinct possibility. When they run out of choices, blow up his motorcade.
But they must have been so afraid of him. But he's going to be there for 4 years only. There's no one else who's going to succeed him. Nobody.
But he is going to prosecute, he is going to fire, he is going to go, I believe, and the people who I've talked to that are familiar and close to him and have seen these things, they are going to upend stuff like's never been done before. And that's what the establishment and the intelligence community, they are terrified.
But they have created this precedent yesterday. You can go after anybody. You can go after Clinton.
Yeah.
He's only 70-something years old. He's a young man.
Yeah, beware of what you do. Yeah, beware of the precedent that you set. So traditionally, this is the first president that's ever been convicted, right? This is the first president that's ever been gone after in this way, because there was generally, we saw it because we weren't a banana republic as good practice to move on from the one administration and move into the next one. Peaceful transfer of power. What that guy did, all right, we're done, we're moving on.
But can you say that he did almost nothing in his first term? What did he do so bad that was so bad to the left?
He revealed the game.
But nothing has changed.
He didn't play according to the rules. Yeah, he woke up the middle class and the muscular class. He woke up the people. He told the people that they did have power again.
Democrats woke up the people by prosecuting him.
Oh, I think they played into the hands, right? They played into the hands. They gave him all the free advertisement in the world. They did all of those sort of things to create the conditions that we're in too. Like they had so many unforced errors in this entire thing. That like if they hadn't have gone after him like they went after him, it would have been a totally different world.
Why don't you? Why do you think there's Joe Biden still running? Why not Gavin? Why not Michelle? He's a dead man. He can hardly walk.
Yeah, no, he's because he's a complete puppet. And as long as they can keep that puppet going, so I've been wrong on this one. I thought that they would replace him, and
Maybe they will.
Well, they still can, right? There's ways that they can do that.
August, right?
Yeah, and so I was predicting that they would do a switcheroo at the last minute, where they would say, he'd come out, hey, I've got an issue, medical, whatever. Oh, I need to go and spend time with my grandkids, and it's time that I pass on the baton. And then they put in place.
There's no way he gets that sentence right.
Yeah, not
no way.
Yeah, I mean, they'll pump him up with enough Adderall and a bunch of different things.
Those are amazing.
Yeah, they'll get him up, and then he'll be able to be coherent for 30 minutes. Yeah, but I mean, and you can see when that happens towards the end of his speeches, it's like
State of the Union.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah, no, it's right towards the end, man. He starts to fall apart. He wobbles pretty quickly. He's like a spinning top that at the end it starts to wobble, and everybody's like, okay, and that those guys are biting nails behind the scenes. Oh, you're almost there. You're almost there.
Did you see the movie Ong Bak?
No.
So there was a movie from Thailand, I want to say 20 years ago. So there was a guy, he's a martial artist.
Yes,
and he was fighting as he was low on energy. He takes the injections, he gets to his legs and he's like, oh, I'm good. So that's what you got to do with the Biden. Just
But it only lasts so long, right? And then the reason that he disappears for days afterwards is because the crash, with all that they had to pump him up with. He crashes
He's
so
still
hard.
a human being.
Yeah. So anyway, so he's a puppet, right? But at the end of the day, they could come up with some dramatic story as to why, it's his time to go be with the grandkids. And Kamala Harris, oh no, I've done my duty. They got to bribe her like crazy. Here's $10 million in a book deal, and we'll put you in another place in the administration. Just don't fight us. It's not my time. I'm done. I've done my duty for the American people. Some other word salad will come out of her head, and then they'll trot out a Gavin Newsom, or they'll recruit a Michelle Obama. I mean, she would be the dangerous one. Gavin Newsom is a mixed bag because he's done so poorly here in California, and people are having a hard time just buying the line that it's the fifth largest economy in the world. I mean, our deficits. He made. I mean, he's out there blaming our deficits on rain, bombs, and atmospheric storm or atmospheric. What do you call it? Rivers. That was it.
$20 billion vanished. I don't know where the money is.
Well, we paid for some things in advance. We did this, and we had him. We thought that we're positive, and we did this, and then there was these rain bombs and unexpected atmospheric rivers, and climate change came in and affected us. And here I am with my slick hair, and he's got that craggly voice from giving too many blowjobs or something. I don't know, but he is a Satanist level character.
Like,
I
for
mean,
real.
that dude
And you can
is,
see that.
That dude is, he lies so unashamedly. Like, he's one of those guys, looks you in the eye and just tells the world's biggest lie. And everybody just goes, yeah, okay. I mean, he's actually truly gifted politician in the sense, like somebody comes up to him and says in one of these clips, well, what about the drag queen story hours in my school? They just want to exist. How dare you? These people just want to exist, and here you are coming at me with that nonsense. I mean, he does great in terms of that, like, bash you, punch back at you. How dare you bring that to me, you despicable human being? Those drag queens just want to read. How dare you? Those kids need to learn, and you're going to tell me that you're not going to allow it? And he just totally deflects, booms, takes you super aggressive. It's good.
But at the same time, you're not allowed to have Jesus Bible in schools.
Yeah, I mean, there was somebody the other day and they said it beautifully. Why don't we just have disabled people read to kids? Because you're going to come up to and face more disabled people on this planet, and that would be healthier than you are, clowns, dressed in women's clothing.